Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you are trying to get out of a problem and you have two horrible options? You have bad and worse. And you're trying to debate, you're just looking at those two options, trying to debate what you're going to do with those two. I'm going to talk about a methodology of problem solving that can open up options for you. It's called design thinking. Design thinking has been around for a long time, 40 or 50 years. In the last 10 or 15 years, it got this hip name, design thinking, by industrial design community, and it kind of took off as a way to problem solve a whole bunch of issues. But it's been around since about the 60s or so. It's opposed to the scientific methodology, where you're analyzing a set of possibilities and trying to get down to a solution. You're looking more at the constraints of your options and seeing how that fits into what you're trying to achieve. So design thinking is also called user-centered thinking or solution-based. And I'll talk through the steps and help you understand why it's called that. The first step of design thinking is to define your solution. So what is your ideal solution? Second step is research, then brainstorm, prototype, choose, implement, and finally learn. Go back and learn. And what I'm going to focus on is the first two steps. And that's because most people understand the rest of it. They understand brainstorming and the rest of it. And that's really where scientific methodology starts. It starts with, okay, here's my problem, what are my possible solutions? And you got this little funnel, and you're trying to work those couple of things, understand the constraints, and work to your solution. And that's how you end up with two bad ideas, and you're just trying to fight it. Well, if you start with defining what the end goal looks like from a broader perspective, so not just thinking small, but thinking big. What is my ideal solution? Forget about all the constraints. Ideally, what could I have if it achieved everything I wanted? And the next step is research. So you're going out looking at end users. You're talking to people or looking at people who've had similar problems and seeing how they solved it. You're talking to thought leaders in that particular industry or researching thought leaders and researching potential. And I laid it out in steps, but you're really going sort of back and forth on each of those steps all the way down. You might start with a define, but you don't really know exactly what you want. You might research and go back and forth. So let me give you an example of where I've seen this work before. I work for a product development company, so we're hired by companies to develop new products. So Staples came to us and they said they wanted a new shredder that was Staples branded. Now, if you can think of how difficult this would be to come up with a new shredder, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to make it faster, or shred more paper, or you're going to make it quieter. Maybe you're going to make it cheaper. That's always a potential option. And a lot of companies start like that, so they got these couple options and they try to jam it in. It may or may not be successful. We define the problem as, how about making a shredder that someone wants to buy over the competitive product? So a broad thought. Well, what does that look like? So we went out and did research. We did ethnographic research, so watching people in their homes and how they use shredders. And you probably, if you have a shredder at home, everyone does the same thing, or most people do the same thing. They take their mail home, they throw it on the kitchen table, and then once a week or so, they have their ugly shredder stored back in their home office. They'll take their big pile of mail, they'll go back into the shredder, and they'll file it away. Maybe they'll open it up and then they'll throw it on the kitchen counter and then throw the envelopes in the trash and then something by the shredder to do it once a week or once a month. So we see this over and over and it's like, wow, mail's really piling up in the kitchen. what if we could make a shredder that went in the kitchen? Okay, now this opens up a whole range of possibilities and puts you on a completely different track. So how are you going to make a shredder that goes in the kitchen? It can't be this big, ugly, white thing. No one's going to stick that in the kitchen. Well, what about a small shredder that looks like a kitchen appliance? Maybe it looks like a coffee maker. It's black. It's got stainless steel accents. It works like a coffee machine where you can pull the handle out like a drip coffee. That is something someone would stick in their kitchen. It was by watching users and understanding how they were, what their ideal situation would be. So we developed this shredder, brought it through to production, launched it out to the market, and it had huge success. Because most consumers are looking at shredders and their options, they're all the same. And so now it's just a price war. But this shredder was a completely different opportunity. Now that's kind of it's a cool story, but it's a small problem. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is actually using this methodology. They've captured it in the document. They're using it to try to solve world hunger. They're trying to solve getting water to more people. And problems that are so constrained, how do you break out of those? So the next time you have a problem where you're feeling like you're stuck in a corner and you only have a couple of bad solutions, I encourage you to look up design thinking and apply that to your problem, and I guarantee actually that you'll get more options